You really endeavor to try and save the man who nearly destroyed you all. I see why you believe you can save Shigaraki. Before I open this review of chapter 337 of My Hero Academia, please do me a favor, leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to review chapter 337 of My Hero Academia, which is known as A Disposable Life. And, I'm just saying that chapter name isn't all that inaccurate. I dispose of Aoyama too. No, but actually, let's hop into the chapter itself. So we open up with a very interesting point of discussion, essentially, because we get to see Dabi following up on his point with All for One. He's like, okay, you have friends, that makes sense, but what if they're exposed? Won't that become a problem? And All for One's like, why would it? What do you do with an old lighter? Once it stops working, you just throw it away and get a new one. And the interesting thing is that, to a degree, he's right. Because, like, say Aoyama does be discovered as a traitor. You lose one link. And obviously, UA isn't doing that good anyway, so it'd be like that when it be like that sometimes. It sucks to suck. You're not, if he gets thrown away, he gets thrown away. So it's cool to, once again, I keep saying it pretty much every single chapter. Well, I keep saying it every single chapter he's featured in, but All for One, just as a character, he feels so, like, intelligent. He feels so, like, he's not just a physical threat to our allies and our heroes, but he's a mental threat. Like, he's literally picked apart the entire situation and planned it out. And that's a villain that, to me, will always be way scarier than just your big, strong, swole guy. Like, but that's the thing, All for One's also this big, strong, swole guy, but he's also big, strong, and swole in the brain enough that he's able to think of these plans and execute them pretty much flawlessly, honestly. Like, sure, he has to worry about human error and stuff like that, but even then, he's taken that into account, and likely has a backup traitor somewhere like everyone else is predicting, and I'd be perfectly fine with that. But we also get to see that back at the event horizon, essentially, not only does All for One consider Aoyama a tool that needs to just be thrown aside if it ever uses its purpose or loses its purpose, but Aoyama's parents, they aren't so keen on the fact that their whole little evil plot has been revealed, and thus they tell Yuga to just dip and run. And to be fair, yeah, like, I still don't think the parents' designs are very conducive for, like, serious storytelling. Like, they get a little better in this chapter when they're portrayed in, like, a background sort of sense, and they're, like, drawn a little bit more seriously. But, like, I just can't take these two idiots seriously. I don't know why. I just can't. And notably, where'd y'all think you were gonna go, though? I mean, maybe they don't know about Midoriya that well, but Aoyama should know they are not escaping that man. That man's a threat. That man is a menace. You are not escaping him. And then we get to see more and more of, like, Aoyama's past, essentially, because he goes into the fact that both his parents, they were from a well-off family, or supposedly from wealthy families, which, interesting. I wonder, he says supposedly, and I wonder if that's supposed to mean that they actually weren't and they were just holding up a front or something like that. And if so, how did they hold that up? I'm intrigued, because that extra supposedly line makes it way more complicated than it should be. I'm definitely going to read the official translation and see if that's, like, a thing, if that supposedly line is still in there, because I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that they went to All for One too. Like, maybe it's not just because their son was quirkless, but All for One provided them some kind of funding or something like that, or they had ties to some illegal money source or something like that, and that's what had them even in the running to hear about All for One. Because notably, when they raised Aoyama, it was like he was all good, he was raised in luxury, but he was different because he was quirkless, and thusly, somehow, some way, they heard the rumor that there's this dude that can give away quirks freely. And how would you hear about that? Like, I know All for One is a sort of this underworld presence. They would hear commonality, but he seems much more like a ghost to, like, the common public, and I feel like you would almost have to already be in that world to hear of him. Like, I doubt your average Joe is walking down the street and be like, hey, my buddy Tom down the street, he got a quirk from All for One just the other day. You know what I'm saying? He got an ability to, like, super suck toes or something like that. Like, I don't think that's I don't think that's something that you would regularly hear on the low. So kind of intrigued to how that money came about and what they were able to do. But apparently the reason, it's actually true, like Aoyama wasn't very compatible with his quirk. And it's an interesting thing, like we already had like big factors of like body to quirk compatibility. Like you take a look at the entire Todoroki family. That is the whole reason the Todoroki family even exists is because of a lack of body to quirk correlation. Like Endeavor can't handle the higher limits of his quirk without overheating, thus he tried to get married to Rei, an ice quirk user, in order to give birth to the perfectly balanced child, which ended up being Shoto. And we saw when your body and quirk aren't compatible, even by automatic, just by birth. Like look at Dabi. Dabi's body is not compatible with his quirk, despite him being able to produce really hot flames. He has an ice composition body, so we know that quirk composition can do pretty darn bad. So I guess giving him a random quirk wasn't really a good idea, but they somehow managed to get him a belt to control it, which is once again very interesting. It's all, I wonder what's behind these goofy characters. Like there's something different there. But regardless of that, it seems like All For One actually kind of left them alone for a while. But then again, that makes sense because All For One was very much about building up pawns that could be used later. Like we know this about All For One because he apparently let them live, or at least Aoyama is under the assumption that he lived a pretty much normal life once he got his quirk and got his little belt. He was pretty much good to go until around the time that the UA entrance exams came about, because the rumor began that All Might was going to become a teacher there, and obviously All For One wanted a mole on the inside. And notably, like, what would have All For One done if Yuga just wasn't selected? I wonder, like, I know it was very low possibility considering the people we've seen get accepted into UA, despite being a top hero school, it sort of accepts everybody. But still, like, if Aoyama didn't get into, like, say Aoyama pulled up in Class 1B, would All For One's plan, actually, well, Class 1B would work for the Hideout raid, because both classes went to the Hideout raid. That works out just fine. Actually, no, yeah, even 1B, I think 1B is just fine for all the things Aoyama specifically did, except for the USJ incident. The USJ incident, I don't think would have been able to happen if Aoyama wasn't in Class 1A. And the USJ incident is sort of like the inciting incident for almost every other villain attack after, because that was Shigaraki's first big failure. So if we're being honest, All For One, that was the only like hopeful contingency. I know you gave him a reasonably strong quirk, like being able to fire a laser from your stomach, really good, but you're lucky that he was actually kind of he was decent with it, because if he ended up pretty much anywhere else, if he ended up in 1B or general studies, your plan was kind of done, son. I hate to say it. Unless once again, the whole backup trader theory. This is why I love the My Hero Academia fandom, because like the moment we got the trader revealed, we instantly were like, there's got to be another one, because like some things just aren't lining up, and we instantly like just hopped on context clues and we're like, okay, so we got the one big one, but there's got to be someone else. There's got to be another mole, another rat, cat, dog thing. Yeah, we all staring at you, Nessa. We all staring at you. You mad sus, my boy. You mad sus. An animal getting a quirk? How does that even happen? Now, but regardless of that, we see that All For One is the one who told him to get into UA, and he is the one that gave every individual order. He specifically said, tell me when the class will be isolated, which led to the USJ incident. Tell me where the training camp will take place, which obviously led to the night raid incident. And then now his latest order, which honestly takes place like a decent gap, because I'm trying to think, like the training camp incident all the way towards now, that's a decent chunk of chapters. That's like half a series away at this point, at least chapter length wise. It may not be like I'm not sure what the time frame is in series, but in terms of like series wise, that was a big chunk between orders. And who knows, there could have been little smaller orders here, like give me an update on their facility, stuff like that, give me their security info, and obviously that's important. But yeah, All For One, he was on his P's and Q's. He was like making sure to get all that info. And the interesting thing is that All For One doesn't So about the whole quirk phantom thing, right? Like we know in the quirk vestige world, you get like a hard copy
of the person that's there. Sometimes the people can be suppressed, sometimes they can't be. Like in the case of One for All, at least for my understanding, One for All's situation with All Might didn't actually see the specters except for like maybe once or twice, and he can never communicate with them. And we saw in All for One when he was getting all his quirks destroyed by New Order, he, like, his multiple quirk things, like, they were all suppressed. They were like buried under the ground until the catalyst of New Order popped in and like rose up. So is there, like, once All for One has a quirk, does he like implant a bit of himself into that quirk, and thusly, like, essentially the question is, does Aoyama have a secondary All for One consciousness in him, or does he just have the original owner of Naval Laser chilling inside him? Because if it's the former, then yo, imagine Aoyama becoming another Nomu. But yo, Aoyama the Nomu, yo, especially if he blows up, yo, that'd be crazy. oh my, I just thought about that one. That'd be cool. But yeah, because we know, like, the consciousnesses aren't like directly linked. Like, All for One is technically in two places at once. Like the one that fused with Shigaraki through his original quirk, and the one that exists in the original body, like, they aren't exactly mentally linked up. But if there's an All for One dormant, essentially, or like a little miniature All for One dormant, every person he's passed a quirk to, that's a lot. And reasonably, actually, no, that may not be the case, because if that's the case, then One for All would have All for One in it already. Or, yeah, like, he would be there already. Never mind. I don't think that works, because he would be there already in One for All, because he gave the quirk, he gave the stockpile of power quirk to his little brother. So that's cool. I wonder, is in One for All, is there a guy before the first? Because, like, if there's a vestige world, then the original owner of the stockpile quirk should be there, right? I wonder if that's ever gonna be mentioned, or if that's just something that's not important. Because that's like a big thing about One for All, and with the whole quirk stuff being established, I think there may be another dude in there that we just don't know about. I don't. I'm sorry, I'm going on a deep, long tangent. Essentially, if Aoyama has another All for One in him, I wonder if it's been monitoring him, and like that's the way. Like, he knows he would be disobeying orders or lying to him, because notably, Aoyama could just be wrong on occasion. Like, he could just straight up say the training camp will take place here, and then he gets juked and it's somewhere else. Or he could juke out All for One. But if there's a contingency plan, why All for One? Which wouldn't be shocking. That man is contingencies, the plan, the character. So it wouldn't be shocking for me to see him have a contingency plan. But in that same spot, I'm like, how would you know? But apparently his latest goal, cutting back to the chapter itself, his latest goal for Aoyama is to, now that Midoriya has returned to UA, lure him out and isolate him. Now, he says isolate him. He doesn't say kill him. I wonder what was actually supposed to happen here, because I don't think Hagakure was supposed to find Aoyama here. Like, but then again, this was it was bait, right? Because he wanted Midoriya isolated. But for what? Does he have Nomus coming after Midoriya? But then again, here's the thing, right? If he has Nomus coming after Midoriya, since we're still on the idea that quirks can't be taken from a dead body, that he wants Midoriya isolated so he can come and kidnap him and then, like, forcefully hijack One for All, I guess. Like, why would you want him isolated and not, like, harmed or dead or anything like that? Like, what's the reason? What's the wait? But then we get to see, oh, that's so cool. Oh, I just noticed that. Oh, yo, you with the R, you a mad lad, my boy. But I love that when Aoyama goes to, like, he confesses that, yo, when I found out you were quirkless just like me, I fell into the deepest pits of despair. But no, you see this panel where Midoriya is, like, half in shock. Like, he's just like, Aoyama's the traitor, Aoyama's the traitor, Aoyama's the traitor. What was in that cheese? What was in that cheese? What was in that cheese? To, oh my. Like, Danger Sense fires off. And it's because Aoyama's literally about to just shoot him. Aoyama. And, like, here's the thing, we don't get, like, context that this blast was supposed to miss, right? Like, usually when in scenarios like this, you get, like, oh, the blast was actually it was angled in such a way that it never would have actually hit you. Bada bing, bada boom. You were safe the entire time. I just wanted to threaten you. But no, Danger Sense goes off. Meaning this was an actual threat to Midoriya's life. And notably, Danger Sense never. Oh, that's such a neat detail. I think Midoriya says Danger Sense never went off in his fight against Class 1A because he felt safe with all of them. But now that there's information that Aoyama's a traitor, Danger Sense is treating Aoyama as a threat, so it activates. And Aoyama just goes to shoot Midoriya, and All for One, well, no, One for All activates because Midoriya's like, I just gotta beat him. And we see, shocking. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there are two characters that, like, I could, like, hard remove from the series, like, Control Alt Delete, like, highlight them and just backspace. It would be Hagakure and Ojiro, and I know that's perfect because I know everyone ships them because they don't do anything, but I'll give her credit. Like, I think I'm not sure where she's standing relative to this. Yo, all my power skills, all my calculus out there, do some mathematics, because Aoyama goes to fire his laser, and Hagakure, I'm gonna say blitzes. Don't get mad at me. We're gonna say she blitzes in front of whatever percentage of One for All this is. It's maybe like a casual 5. Let's just say it's a casual 5%. She blitzes in front of a post-villain arc Midoriya and proceeds to intercept the laser before it can reach him and direct it somewhere else. And y'all still trying to say My Hero isn't relativistic. But regardless, or relativistic or fascinating, whatever. And we see that Hagakure is like, yeah, her body has the ability to warp light. Except her hands got a little bit toasty. But I guess her hands, like her gloves, aren't necessarily a part of her body. But then we get to see something that we haven't seen, like, ever. And I'm pretty sure she's reflected light before. But maybe this has something to do with, like, her quirk. So this actually reveals something. I think her quirk is actually always active on purpose. Because this may just be visual artistic stuff. Like, it's something that just happens because, you know, Horikoshi wants to show us a bit of her design. But it seems like her quirk, when she's, like, consumed in this anger, right? Like, she's literally just pointing out straight, hard, cold, hard evidence and facts. Like, all of us could have died. All of Japan has been thrown into chaos. And you still sat in the same classroom as us. You had the nerve to sit there. Like, we get to see some of Hagikure's design. And I'm not sure what to say. Like, it almost looks like partially Uraraka, partially something else. I'm not sure. Is that a cowlick? I don't. It's a cool enough image, but, like, regardless of the design thing, it's cool to see that. I'm pretty sure I made it the thumbnail. I'm not sure what Future Me does, but I'm pretty sure Future Me made it the thumbnail. But that's cool. But the actual thing is, I love how Hagakure is just pulling out the cold hard facts. Like, you did all that, risked our lives just like that, and you still lived in the same dorms as us, still sat in the same classroom, you still did all that, and that's facts. Like, she's bringing up the cold hard facts of, like, yeah, he straight up betrayed them. Like, there's nothing one can do about that. And then these goofy parents, but, like, honestly, Midori just slap them both, remove them from the narrative, please. I'm begging you, because just the Horikoshi. You can draw them seriously. Like, you draw them a bit more seriously early in this chapter. You don't have to do. Maybe it's just me interpreting their designs as goofy. Does anyone else get that little, like, not narrative dissonance, but, like, cognitive dissonance or something like that whenever you see them drawn in this weird, like, rush art style way? Or is it just me, or are their designs not conducive to serious storytelling? I don't know. It kind of ruined the mood when I first blazing through the chapter. But thankfully, Midoriya comes out the clutch. He then proceeds to blitz all three of them. He lands down, pins Aoyama with Black Whip, and proceeds to catch both of his parents who try to defend him. And here's the thing. Midoriya is just like, you know what? Hagakure did this, so you didn't have to hurt anyone else. So now, we're going to stop, and I'm going to take you back, because we're putting an end to it now. And notably, Midoriya is crying, but the thing I like here is that it's Midoriya crying tears of sadness, obviously, right? But, like, the way his eyes are drawn there's definitely some anger. Like, because we got to realize a majority of Midoriya's suffering comes from Aoyama. Like, Midoriya broke his bones repeatedly beyond to durable extent. And I know Midoriya breaking his bones never actually mattered, and I get that. But in terms of like in the moment, Midoriya is thinking about all the things that happened right now. Because Midoriya, especially as of recent, he's been super analytical. So he's running through every single scenario that couldn't have happened if it wasn't for Aoyama being a rat. Because he wouldn't have had to fight Muscular. All Might likely wouldn't have faded away at the Kamado incident, because there wouldn't be no need to rescue Bakugo if they didn't know where the training camp was. There was the whole situation with the entire world being as it is right now without All Might. Like, so much happened because of Aoyama being a rat in UA, and Midori is just cycling through all that right now. I know that rage, that anger, that fervor is coursing through his veins at the moment, and I love it. But then we get to see that the three are now captured and isolated, and notably, now Masa's like, okay, so he's given the quirk to be controlled. Yeah, it happened to about 10 years ago, so he's safe right now. It seems like he doesn't have any mechanisms to blow him up like Nagant when she turned into All For One. Or like, turned into All For One, oh my, when she became a Xehanort vessel. But All For One versus Xehanort, equal stats battle? No. But in terms of what Masa's talking about, you don't know that. Like, he could just be waiting to blow him up. I hate to say it, but like, Aoyama's just like a living, walking threat. The fact that you brought him back into the building with all these people, I mean, I guess you have nowhere else to take him, but you have no way of confirming that All For One isn't just like listening in right now. Like, he could be just chilling there like, all right, this is cool. You're the bomb, Aoyama. Nice work, kid, and blows him up, but hey, whatever. But then we get to see suspect number one for the secret backup trader, Nezu, being like, yo, if you all could, like, just back up for a little bit, know what I'm saying? Like, I'd greatly appreciate if y'all would leave. But then we get to see that everyone is they're in the utmost betrayal right now with this young boy Aoyama, because and then Ojiro asks like the most important question of all, like, yo, if Hagakure-chan or San didn't expose you, what exactly were you planning to do? And that's a good question, because notably, I'm pretty sure Midoriya could have dodged it. Or he may have been, even, heck, with how strong Midoriya is right now, if he flared up to a higher percentage of One For All, he may have been able to just flat out face tank it. But yeah, what was Aoyama's plan there? Like, was he just straight up planning to kill Midoriya? Like, isolate him, bait him out, and then just like naval thrust? Whoa, stop. But like, was he just planning to laser him to death and call it done? Like, I don't really know. And I'm also concerned for once Ojiro raises a good point. But then we get to see, like, while everyone else is feeling the mad betrayal, which is realistic, Bakugo is shockingly calm, and I think that's good. Like, he's the one who brings up a quirkless child given a quirk. Sounds like someone else we know. And it adds on like the parallels between Midoriya being a happier version of Aoyama's story, except like Aoyama got his quirk from the Lord of all, I almost said the Mistress of all evil, like I was talking about Maleficent, but the Lord of all evil and All For One, and Midoriya got his quirk from the Pinnacle of all good and All Might. So it just goes to show you two different paths. Who knows? Maybe Aoyama could have had One For All. I'm not, like, the what if is popping into my head now. Like, what if All Might found Aoyama first and gave him One For All? But like, no. If that what if happens, I'm not writing it. I'm not writing that. But we see that Namasa is like, yo, okay, whatever. I'm so tired right now, and we still have so much to work for. So hurry up, tell me everything you know about All For One. And apparently the parents know nothing. It's just that if they didn't relay the information he requested or didn't do what he said, they would die. If they lied, they would die. And now Masa asks a very good question, like, well, how do you know that? How are you in contact with them? And apparently All For One himself, I wonder if this was literally like he pulled up to their home, body in hand, or like writhing person in hand, and then ended their life in front of them. It was like, by the way, your head crushes like a grape too. So listen to what I say, all right? I know everything. I know where you are, who you are, and why you are. So don't mess with me. Like, I wonder how gruesome and like unhinged that event was, because it sounds just ominous. And it's crazy because All for One was just living in these people's heads, and I think that's really, really cool with how it just, once again, it builds up All for One as this not only powerful physical presence, but this looming mental threat. And I love it. It gives him much, it's weird to say gravitas is the word I'm looking for. Like, it just gives him this weight that he didn't necessarily have before to me. Like, this planning, this mindset, all that stuff is amazing, and I love it. It's juicy. But then we get to say that they were just following orders, right? Like, he wants, like, the dad is trying to excuse them, and he didn't want Yuga to, like, go through this, but they had to survive. And then Aoyama is just sitting there recollecting on what he said or what he's done. Like, Hagakure got to Aoyama, like, straight up. She opened up the door, like, yes, like, sure, we ended up fine, we made it through it because we're class 1A, but multiple people could have died. Multiple people have died and suffered and gotten hurt because of what Aoyama did. Like, all the lives and suffer. And I know it's hard to say, like, how much is quantifiably Aoyama's fault. Like, the information that Aoyama leaked led to the deaths of however many people, but if not the deaths, the mental scarring and suffering of all of his fellow classmates, a lot of that is his fault. And that's just pure basic. And I know why, because he would have died otherwise, but still, he has to hold that mental weight. He has to carry that, and I think that's great. And then we see that Aoyama did really just want to be like one of them. And when he got the letter that Midoriya was quirkless, he realized that, wow, I just am a terrible person. And he thinks that he himself is a filthy villain through and through. And in certain contexts, in certain interpretations, if I squint at it the right way, you kind of spitting Aoyama. I ain't even gonna lie. You low key a demon. I ain't even gonna lie to you. But then Midoriya is trying to, like, he's trying to save Aoyama, and like you know me and how I feel about, what's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and y'all know how I feel about, Midoriya trying to save everybody. But in actuality, like, Midoriya, this dude literally just tried to kill you. Like, your danger sense went off. You can't even use the excuse that you did in the 1A battle that danger sense didn't go off. We saw it on panel. That man, you felt the danger, and you sensed it. So you know this man's a threat. So and you saw Nagant blow up on you. Like, I don't get it, right? Like, I get it because he brings the points of, like, oh, you helped Tokoyami and Bakugo, you brought me some cheese, I guess, and and he brings up Nagant as, like, a hero who had her mind controlled by All for One, but her spirit was never broken. Like, all of that stuff, I mean, it's fine. Like, to be fair, Aoyama's a teenager. He's much more impressionable, and I believe it 100% more that he would do all this for the sake of his life rather than, like, Nagant just did it because heroes, yeah. But, and this is the thing, I can let it slide that Midoriya's trying to save Aoyama. Aoyama makes sense. Shigaraki, no. I get it. Shigaraki is a construct formed by All for One, but that's something. And to be fair, I barely feel like we can separate Aoyama from his actions. But to be fair, Shigaraki conscientiously went out and murdered people. Aoyama just did it to survive himself, and Aoyama didn't kill people on his own. But I'm not going to go into the whole saving Shigaraki stuff here. That's just, you know how I feel about that already. I don't like the idea. But we see that Midoriya is reaching that hand out, and which is so funny. Like, Midoriya, he can't take your hand. He's strapped to a chair. Please, All for One, just blow him up right here, right now. The moment he extends that hand, detonate him in front of everybody. Let that be the war declaration. Like, boom. I would love that. That'd be amazing. We open up next chapter. Aoyama just explodes. But we see Bakugo, like, realizing we can choose how we enter this fight. That's your play, Deku. And, Midoriya believes he can still become a hero. Yeah, great. It was cool. I do like the chapter. I do like the extra context given. I like the extra fear and emphasis placed on All for One. I love the fact of, like, just the development of the scenario here is really, really cool. And I'll just ignore the parents. They don't do that much, like, weird tension narrative cohesion breaking stuff in this chapter, and I think their past selves are a lot better at that. I think they're very, very good. I think Horikoshi, once again, Horikoshi is really good at like transforming designs into things that I didn't think they were inherently good for, like Aoyama's designs, like just simply darkening his pupils, like removing all the color from his irises and just making him have dark eyes really shifts the whole character design for me. Like it makes him feel a lot more like separate, and I love that. Horikoshi is just great at transforming these character designs, so they look pretty much the exact same with those little minor details that really make it stand out. But yeah, once again, give this chapter a solid 10 out of 10. I actually greatly appreciated the extra context, all the stuff within it, the hypothetical ending to it. As much as I don't like Midori trying to save Aoyama, this one actually makes sense. I'll let it slide. Everyone, please detonate him. But those are my thoughts on the chapter. Please tell me your thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.